I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
You're very lucky that you're with somebody as resilient as Frank Reynolds.
You tried to off yourself 2 times in the last 24 hours, Frank.
Here in St. Augustine, Top Gun Supply is the friendly gun shop. Top Gun Supply stocks a wide range of firearms. They buy and sell used guns. Top Gun Supply at 525 State Road 16 in St. Augustine. The friendly gun shop, a proud sponsor of the Armchair Quarterbacks. ACC football covered like no other here on the Armchair Quarterback.
Against the blitz, touchdown, Florida State. Preston scores the touchdown, and now it's Bowden's decision, and he sends Mowry onto the field right away. Danny Cannell is the holder. Mowry ties it. This game is over. A 31-31 tie. A 31-31 tie.
A deep throw by Lawrence, a lot of contact. Justin Ross broke free from it. He's down in the end zone. Touchdown, Clemson.
Justin Ross, a freshman wide receiver, big, rangy, and Trevor Lawrence knows, throw it up against that single coverage, give him a chance to make a play on a 50-50 ball.
If you're a fan of the ACC, pull up an armchair. You're home.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody's touching. Just grabbing, everybody. Grab. Nobody touching.
You're riding Morning Shotgun with the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here weekdays. Your first choice for sports talk here on the First Coast.
Listen in your office, in your car, or even your neighborhood bar. You can listen with your whole family.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the exciting adventure of the daily commute to the peace of mind that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service and legendary customer service. But Pamela Mund had one reason in particular.
My skin is extremely averse to most fabrics, except for the soft, buttery feeling of leather. Thankfully, I found my clan of leather lovers in the biking community. It's been life-changing.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
We're crab people now.
We're crab people now?
Yes.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey Cam, thanks a lot for coming to my school today.
No problem, Nate.
I promise to exercise and eat right.
Don't forget 60 minutes of play a day, right?
And I'll grow up to be big and strong like you.
Absolutely.
And play in the NFL.
Yes, sir.
And be drafted #1.
Maybe.
Become the starting quarterback of the Panthers.
Okay.
You can be my backup.
Excuse me?
And make Panthers fans forget about you. And become your mom's favorite player.
Whoa.
I'm just loosening my arm.
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. DK Metcalf established his credentials as one of the NFL's fastest players with his famous chase down of Arizona Cardinal safety Budda Baker. The Seattle Seahawks wide receiver will now test his speed against world-class sprinters. He's competing in the USA Track and Field Golden Games and Distance Open, which is Sunday in Walnut, California. USATF's website lists Metcalf among the participants in the 100-meter dash. Metcalf hinted at his participation in the event in a tweet on Monday. The 6'4", 229-pound athlete out of Oxford High School was a standout hurdler and long jumper. He ran a 4.33 40-yard dash at the 2019 Combine and reached a top speed of almost 23 miles an hour when he chased down Baker last October. The Baltimore Ravens have signed two-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Alejandro Villanueva to a 2-year deal. The deal is worth about $14 million and includes $8 million fully guaranteed. After not drafting an offensive tackle last week, the Ravens added Villanueva to play right tackle and replace Orlando Brown Jr., who they traded to the Chiefs on April 23rd. Villanueva, 32 years old, started at left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the past 6 seasons and would fit in with the Ravens' offensive line. He ranked 18th last season in run block win rate, 3 spots higher than Brown. The Baltimore Ravens also got a safety net for left tackle Ronnie Stanley, who is coming off a season-ending ankle injury and hasn't played a full 16-game season in his 5-year career. Reports out of Los Angeles say Dustin May, who is one of the game's brightest young pitchers, may be headed to the IL for quite some time. It looks like he will undergo season-ending Tommy John surgery to repair a damaged UCL. The surgery is scheduled for Tuesday, May 11th in Los Angeles, and the recovery timetable falls somewhere between 12 to 16 months. Dustin May, 23 years old, is not scheduled to hit the free agent market until after the 2026 season. And on the north side of Chicago, just like their counterparts in the south side, the Chicago Cubs have been hit by injury, placing 3 players on the IL. Jake Arrieta, infielder Nico Horner, and reliever Dan Winkler. Arrieta has been plagued by a cut on his right thumb that impacted his last start, while Horner injured his forearm colliding with center fielder Ian Happ as the two converged on a ball in Sunday's game against the Reds. Cubs manager David Ross was quoted as saying, "We're optimistic about everyone, to be honest with you. I don't think they are very serious. I think all of them are fairly good news with the off days coming up for all of us. It gives us a chance to maximize the rest time without missing too many games." Taking their place on the roster, the team recalled lefty Kyle Ryan, righty Keegan Thompson, and infielder Vargas. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast. Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. It's Cinco de Mayo. I've got my jab in. Now it's time to get my drink on.
I'm Sean O'Toole, and I don't know much, but we don't need a designated hitter when we got a designated Huascar. Let's go.
I know one damn thing. I'm not going to be your designated driver. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback.
Keeper will come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback.
Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I accidentally hit the opening day one, and I didn't realize I did it until about halfway through, so we're about to get dropped from YouTube for playing a song that we don't know, and so I better cut that crap off at the very at the heels. Sean, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
Man, it was a great night yesterday. I was so happy to watch a Braves game that was actually fun to watch.
I'll tell you what. This
bad boy came in the mail yesterday. So
that could be a hell of a country song there. It was a great night yesterday. Waylon Jennings,
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Waylon, you need to come from the grave and write us one more. I like the jersey, Hammer and Hank there. I was going to wear my Phil Necro one, and then I forgot that when you sent me the pic the other day, I was planning on doing that. And I had essentially planned on wearing stuff for Cinco de Mayo, but the only side effect that I'll say that I got from the second jab was I could not sleep worth a crap last night, and it had me like jittery and whatnot. I don't know if that was the jab related or if I just had a severe case of the Jimmy legs. But so this morning I totally spaced until about 5 minutes ago that it was Cinco de Mayo. And so a happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone out there. Don't let them cancel culture you today, Cinco de Mayo. Don't let them cancel culture you. They come.
Don't get woke mobbed on Cinco de Drinko. Quick side story about the jersey. I've always had an affinity against maybe buying things on eBay because you'll get taken advantage of sometimes. But I found a really good reseller who has a lot of Braves stuff. So I've actually got two pieces on the way. This was the first one, just came first. I've got a red Deion Sanders coming with the 150th patch.
Nice.
As well. So this is a big deal to me because I love Hank Aaron and because I'm going to be in Truist for the first time on Hank Aaron weekend, July the 30th. So I kind of wanted to have something, to represent who I think is one of the, 5 greatest baseball players to ever live. So was really excited to get it. It was cheap. It was a good price. And man, I don't know what the Braves are doing sitting on their hands, not selling more of these 72, 73 era jerseys because you can't really find them on MLB's website. You have to go third party, but good stuff.
You could just wait to go to the All-Star game to celebrate. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. Man.
Oh, there it is.
Man Fraud screwed all that up, didn't he?
Man Fraud. Listening to LaFraud James. We'll get to him later.
God, most of these commissioners get re-signed.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's going to be the case with Man Fraud. I really don't.
I don't think Man Fraud or Silver are going to have a good run next time. Oddly,
Silver's going to be in trouble. That's a fair point.
We're in a place again where Bettman and Goodell are the two most successful commissioners. How do we get back here?
How the hell is Roger Goodell 5 years later by far the best professional commissioner?
By far, not even close.
Because American sport.
He understands his demographic and he understands his owners, and he's like, guess what?
Something else that
all
he did.
coal in the engine, all trains forward.
I'll tell you something else that he did that I thought was key is he made himself more personable and more like, likable, getting into the hugs with the players and all that kind of stuff. He just made himself more likable, and he did a great job of that during the pandemic, during that draft, even though that draft sucked compared to other drafts because you didn't have a stage.
Circumstances. Yeah. But circumstances were different.
He did a great job hosting it from his den. All right, let's dive into this because we don't have a whole lot of time like normal. For y'all just joining us today, we are beginning our new trek with a 1 hour show every morning, and we are adding more content of other shows. I'm going to be doing a lot of smaller shows on YouTube. Sean and Steven and I are going to be adding a fantasy show analytics. We hope to get that going in the next week or so. And away we go. You wanted to talk about that Tom Wilson hit. I'll let you go ahead and start it because I've got my thoughts.
Okay, so the worst incident in NHL history, at least in my lifetime, is the Todd Bertuzzi Steve Moore incident, where I think it's Steve Moore. I could be wrong about the first name, but basically punched him from behind, drove his head into the ice. He was, I don't remember if he was permanently paralyzed. I know he was at least temporarily paralyzed. And this was a big deal. Todd Bertuzzi was an all-star level player for many years in Vancouver and some other places. And after that incident, he was a pariah. I mean, he kind of finished his career in Detroit with very little fanfare. But that's the ugliest incident in NHL history. This Tom Wilson one the other day was pretty close. I mean, he was punching a dude that he drove into the ice while he was down. He clearly looked like he couldn't defend himself. Later in the game, he pulls Artemi Panarin, who's a very good young winger for the New York Rangers, which is, regardless of what you think of New York, the Rangers are one of the marquee franchises of the National Hockey League. Pulled him down from behind, kind of by the scruff of the neck, and Panarin's out for the rest of the year with a lower body injury. And because the NHL has given a lot of power to the NHLPA and has collectively bargained punishment, which, going back to Goodell, is something Goodell has refused to do. He's judge, jury, and executioner. You know, they fined him the maximum allowed under the statute, which is $5,000, which is nothing. And he's not suspended for any games. Conversely, in Major League Baseball, Amir Garrett just got 7 games for, basically throwing his glove down and starting a benches clearing brawl. It's a bad look for the NHL. I'm all for still having goons in the league and still having enforcers. They do serve a purposeful role on the team of making sure that defensemen can't just take free shots at young offensive players. But there's a line that gets crossed at a certain point. Tom Wilson's crossed it so many times I can't even count them all. I mean, he's had 5 or 6 incidents like this over the last couple of years.
So to that point, I did some research on Wilson and found out that he's been a repeat offender, and the league essentially has done nothing to him.
Nothing.
And enough is enough. He needs to be suspended for the rest of the season, minimum, because what I saw as a novice fan does not attract me to watch that sport. I don't want to see what all, for all intents and purposes, and you did in any other walk of life, it is assault.
Yep.
It's actually assault 1. And so, by the way, the Bertuzzi, I looked it up. He did end up being okay. In fact, he went on to play for the Red Wings for a little while longer than he tried out for the Binghamton Senators afterwards. So thankfully, Bertuzzi did not end up being paralyzed for life. But that's where this is heading. If they don't do something about this Wilson clown, and I know there are fans out there that love the violence, it's got to be within reason. It's got to be within the game.
Yep.
This is the same thing I was talking about with Amir Garrett, is the fact that he sits there and he pounds his chest. He puts that false bravado out where he, come get me, but he makes sure that he gets held back. And
right.
both of them, granted, weren't trying to fight through a mob to get to each other. But
right.
That's, to me, and I'm going to stay on the side of Javi Baez. To me, that was just common sense. You don't want to go through that many people because you're never going to get a lick on them. You're never going to.
Right.
So at that point, if I'm Javi, I wouldn't have said a damn thing at the press conference. I said, man, it's all fun and games. We're just having a good time. And the next time I'm up to bat and he's pitching, the first pitch he throws, whether it hits me or not, I'm charging the mound because I want to make sure that he doesn't have a weapon in his hand. Right.
Right.
Moment he throws the ball. Hell, he may not even get to the first pitch.
Right.
He
let him throw you a slider down the middle and charge the mound. He'll be like, what's going on?
He could be still warming up. I might blindside him like what was the guy in the NFL commercials? Tate.
Terry Tate.
Yeah,
Gary Tate.
Tate. You might just see me come flying from nowhere, just blindside him, tackle him in the rib cage. And let's go
You
now.
know you have to put a cover on your TPS reports, Kyle.
Yeah. Or I might go full Bobby Valentine and put a Groucho Marx mask on, try to sneak into the clubhouse.
The one last thing I want to say about Tom Wilson before we move on is
it
very, very uncharacteristic for a franchise to put the NHL or its spokespeople or its governors in the crosshairs. The Rangers issued a press release yesterday that absolutely, blew up George Peros, who's the NHL's director of player safety, and basically said he's unfit for his job. So if you didn't see it, go look for it, because I can't recall a single time, aside from maybe the Braves statement against Major League Baseball's decision to move the All-Star game. But even that one was tempered with a little bit of, this is Major League Baseball's decision. We disagree with it. The Rangers press release yesterday basically said, this is garbage. George Peros is unfit for his position. And I was like, whoa.
He is.
He absolutely is. But for a franchise to issue that press release,
that I listen to a lot of New York radio, and it was a hot topic up there. I mean, it was. If we were essentially located in a city that had a hockey team, we'd probably actually cover this more, but we try to be more generalized, to the public. But it's an issue if they don't. And here's the thing: you're going into a playoff season. You have a chance to steal fans from the NBA because so many people are turned off by it. Don't let this be your headline, right?
Nope.
Let the great young players. The fights are fun. Okay, I get it. But that can't be the only thing that draws you to your sport, because at that point, just watch them, go get you some UFC and watch them play grab ass. I'll just leave it at that before I end up in some. Conor McGregor starts to challenge me to UFC battling. I got your challenge, and I'm gonna do the same thing I just told you I was gonna do with Javi Baez. While he's getting ring in and going to the crowd, I'm gonna just go torpedo his ass. What are you doing? Hoping to God they break this up within 30 seconds. That's what I'm doing. Okay, moving on from that. Time to talk a little baseball. Astros, Yankees, the cheaters come back to the Bronx for the first time. I enjoyed that. I don't know. I couldn't get the clip. The only clips I could find of the audio were really, really distorted. So I didn't want to put those up there. Right. But my God, they were getting booed, and I think it'll continue to happen. Remember, this is the only time to the Bronx this year, unless it's in a playoff situation. So, did you like it? Did you say it's been too long? Get over it. What was your feeling behind it? I do like the sign that they put up. One cat kept putting up every time Altuve came up to home plate to hit. Aaron Judge is the 2017 AL MVP. Yep.
It was interesting that, following the trends on social media yesterday, there were some people who were saying that they had like homemade t-shirts confiscated where they had like Judge's stats on the back next to Altuve's. And actually Judge's, all of his advanced metrics were better than Altuve that year, but Altuve had a higher batting average.
One season Judge played more than 50 games, right?
Right. Exactly. The one season he played more than 50 games. So it was funny that people brought like inflatable like trash cans, and security was hauling them. Like the security guards at Yankee Stadium had to have been like, boy, this is a long night last night. I loved it. This is why you have fans, right? The Astros did the crime, right? And as a Tigers fan, look, we hired AJ Hinch. He paid his debt. Alex Cora was out of the game for a year. You can argue whether or not that was enough. The players haven't really paid their debt. Nobody was suspended.
I would have loved to have seen Altuve go full Bryce Harper. What I mean by that is, as much as I don't like Bryce Harper, I did get a kick out of on opening day in Atlanta. The Phillies were playing in Atlanta on Atlanta's opening day, and they were doing your typical opening day stuff where you introduce the entire team. And so when Bryce Harper's name came up, the entire crowd was just booing the hell out of him. and he just started doing this number.
Right. Yeah, no, he's leaned into it a couple times over the years. He seems
too.
like his. Yeah, exactly.
That's the first time that he had been in front of a major crowd since 2019. Because remember, Philadelphia, they've released some restrictions, but they're not as fully. They're not. The Braves aren't at full capacity, but at that point they were at 33% capacity, which was much bigger than what they had in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I would like it if some of the Astros would lean into it. I don't care for the comments after the game, particularly by Carlos Correa saying, he wasn't trying to focus on it as much, and he felt unsafe and he was worried about the safety of his teammates. Like, come on, man.
Hey,
come on.
We go back to Aaron Judge in 2017. How the hell does that guy hit 52 bombs, 114 RBI, having a sluggo over? Well, I guess the slugging isn't as impressive, but it was decent, 627. But the OPS was over 1,000.
Yep.
And he was in a major New York market and he didn't win the MVP. That's insane. I guess because it was just a foregone conclusion that the Astros were the best team and that's how they lost it. But man, Judge really did deserve that MVP.
He really did. I went back and looked at the stats myself when I saw, I don't remember who it was on Twitter that had the t-shirt that had all the stats, but like Judge was green and the only one Altuve beat him in was batting average. And I went back and looked at it. I was like, I'm like, the nerds really like won that MVP trophy for him. Cause I'm sure something about, how small he is played into it. Cause we can say it isn't as much as we want, but MVP trophies are always as much a narrative trophy as an analytical one. And the Astros were the darling of the league that year. There's this 5'1" guy.
It's just dumbfounding that New York City has this kid. And by the way, that's the only season that Aaron Judge wants to put on his resume when he becomes
only one.
Agent. Because since that season where he played 155 games, he has not played more than 112 games in any one season. Let's move on to the Braves. Enoa.
Yeah,
man, was he a beast last night? Not only for people that missed the game, not only did he pitch a gem, he hit a grand slam. And what was funny is that you know that he knows that he was a little fortunate because he's a pitcher. And they talk about this that in spring. Look, people are joking about you need to put him into pinch hit and da. And they may have to at one point, but they've also talked about how in spring training he was just flailing at the ball, like he wasn't even making contact. So I think if you just don't throw, a fastball, you're going to get him out. Okay.
Right.
Anyways, he hit it and it was gone. And, but what was more impressive was him once again, for all intents and purposes, he has been the ace while Soroka and Fried have not been with the team. Because if you look at, I still have more faith in Charlie Morton long-term because it's proven. But at this point, I'm ready to concede that I know I've been arguing with you all year about the fact that I don't like him not being in the bullpen because I thought he was just that dominant.
Right.
I'm willing to concede that he should be in the starting lineup. Let's say everybody gets back, Sean. You got Soroka, you got Fried, who, by the way, comes back today. You hope he's pitching better than what he has been. But I'm not that concerned about Fried because he's shown that he's a hell of a pitcher and he's got the stuff. Soroka, Fried, and then Ian Anderson, and then obviously Charlie Morton.
Right.
The fifth one, I say that's fine, but but then can we stop it with Bryce Wilson and Kyle Wright?
Drew Smiley.
Oh, I'm not even mentioning him. He's a bum. Kyle Wright and Bryce Wilson, keeping him down on the farm because you're worried about if someone gets hurt, do you need an extra starter? And I get that. But one of those two guys, and I'm saying Kyle Wright, needs to just go to the damn bullpen. Get rid of Nate Jones. That guy is just dust to me.
He's in AAA. He's showing the ball too early. It's not.
But that's it. That's his delivery. I went back and watched.
I know.
I went back and watched Nate Jones deliveries from when he played at the White Sox and other places. That's how he's always done it. That's why he's always getting hammered. And so I don't even know what the hell the Braves are doing. But my point is, get rid of him. I don't want to see him anymore. And Drew Smiley,
get out of here. Stop it.
He needs, if he's got an option, he needs to go back down to the minors, because he obviously found something last year. I'm not ready to give up on him totally, and it doesn't do you much good if you have to DFA him. But if you cannot send him down to the minors without you know what, do it anyways. Send him down to the minors, and then if someone picks up his contract, then to hell with them. It's only 1 year, but he needs to get right, because I wouldn't even feel comfortable with him coming out of the bullpen at this point. You know, I mean, maybe you keep him as a long bozo, like a lefty version of Tomlin, but God, it's just it's terrible.
I don't know what you do with Smiley, because he's we face the same predicament with him that we face with Ender. Like, there's money on that deal. It's a 1-year deal. And I just don't think they're going to send him down. So we're going to have to live with him. It just sucks.
Just put him in the bullpen. When the game's out of control, whether you're up or down, just bullpen him. Let's move
Bring
on.
up Tucker Davidson. Good Lord.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Cubs getting the best of the Dodgers, and man, Kershaw just got absolutely hammered. I was starting to wonder. I almost use it as my honorable mention. I know one thing: Clayton Kershaw and Kyle Hendricks switched bodies like in some bad 80s film. Okay, because that did not look like Kershaw, and from what we saw from Braves fans, that did not look like 2021 Hendricks. Hendricks finally looked pretty good, and my God, I mean, that was just an absolute disaster. Kyle Hendricks pitched a complete game, by the way, albeit it was a
7 game.
Right.
Yeah, 7 inning. Let me ask just a hypothetical question. Scale of 1 to 10. How concerned would you be if you're a Dodgers fan? Because I'm inching up. May's out for the year.
I'm not worried.
You don't think May being out for the year
May was not an important part of their puzzle. They're so loaded. It would be the equivalent of us losing Kyle Wright. You'd be like, it sucks. You know, we're going to miss him, but okay, Gonzalini, get in there. Okay, like the list goes on and on with that pitching staff, and they're going to make the playoffs. Whether or not they're going to win the division, I never thought that was a foregone conclusion anyways, and that kind of takes us to the next step of what we're going to talk about this morning. Is we're going to do this once a week under the radar, and what that means is we're going to pick a team that a team or a player that's having a good season that's kind of going under the radar. And we'll be doing this for the foreseeable future. So we plan on doing this with football as well, especially college football. We talked about the Giants last week. They're still in first place.
Mm-hmm.
They did hold. No, they ended up. Oh my God. They blew that game against the
they blew the second half. Yep.
I watched it all the way till about the 5th inning, and then I was like, okay, it's time for me to go to bed. And wow.
You needed 10 more minutes. They blew it in the 7th. Rocky scored 6 in the 7th.
I see that now. It was 6-5 when I went to sleep, and you have to go into different apps. I didn't feel like flippily flopping. So I just looked on the news. But anyways, wow. But anyways, regardless, the Giants are playing very good baseball. Do you have any other team so what I'm saying is I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the Dodgers are going to win the division, but I'm not worried about them making the playoffs either, because then at least it probably isn't getting a wild card. They're unless one of them magically grows a bullpen, no one's running away and hiding in that, and no one is going to. I don't see 2 teams getting their act together. Let me put it that way. One team might get their act together. I don't see 2 of them getting their act together. And they want blood in New York. They are over the moon.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's we don't even need to talk about the Mets, or we don't have enough time to talk about the Mets right now. The only one I would mention as an aside, since I'm the American League guy and specifically the American League Central, you were, I'm going to give you your flowers again. The Kansas City Royals, very good. The Minnesota Twins, very not good. But in the middle, in the middle of that division, I think people are sleeping a little bit on the White Sox. They've got some injuries in the outfield that I don't exactly know how they're going to solve.
I don't know how they're going to overcome that second one. It was one thing to lose Jimenez. It's another thing to
lose Robert.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be gone for essentially until September, is what they're saying.
Oh yeah, he's done for the year. I mean, I dropped him. I had him in 3 fantasy leagues. I dropped him in all of them. He can't even resume baseball activities for 4 months. Like, his year's over. So that puts a lot of pressure on him.
The report I saw was he's out 3 to 4 months. So if that ends up being the case, May, June, July, end of August, he could come back in September. But for fantasy purposes, you're right, it's over, because by the time you get your act together and get back in shape, you're gonna be in the middle of the playoffs. You don't want that guy, going, oh, I'm gonna try to stand on my leg. Okay, well, I got you as my starting lineup.
Listen, when I hear the words
pressure on my ankle,
when I see the words torn and hip next to each other, you're done for the year. Like, I'm sorry.
I go to my second thought, which is, how old are you? You broke your hip? You broke your hip?
Right.
How old are you really, son? What are you pulling some game over here? Are you Sammy Sosaing us? Yeah.
The team, the thing I want to mention is the White Sox have the 7th lowest strength of schedule in the month of May, meaning they have the 7th easiest schedule in the month of May. They could go on a run here if they get some pitching. They had a great performance from Dylan Cease last night, who struck out 11 Reds, went 6 innings, and went 3 for 3 at the plate. If they get some pitching this month, Rodon, Giolito, Cease, Kopech, they could still blow through into first place in that division.
Major injuries, though, and everything be okay. And
you can if they get
two heavy ones.
If they get anything out of Andrew Vaughn, I still think
they're
going to be
okay because it's a bad division. But to win it, they're going to have to bring their A game, because I don't even think Kansas City has scratched the surface of what they can do offensively.
You're
we got to go to break. Got to go to break. We'll be back in a flash. I will say one thing. We'll put a pin in this. Maybe talk about it next week. Everyone's not paying attention to the Red Sox. They're playing incredible baseball. How the hell are the Red Sox flying under the radar? We'll try to tackle that next time. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. The NFL is on the way. You're listening to CBS Sports Radio and the Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live.
Now, if you want to crown them, but they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The Armchair Quarterback Show, weekdays, coast to coast, Southern Sports Talk Radio. Your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Slide here is your X. But if that's the call, Mike, Will, and Sam all have to know they're shifting. Open palms to post, thumbs ups to crosser, thumbs downs and out. Trevor, why don't you get up here and draw that for us?
Playing real football is hard. Playing fantasy football when you got the Armchair Quarterbacks by your side makes it a lot easier. Make sure to join the Armchair Quarterbacks right here. We'll answer all your questions, pickups, trades, you name it. You want to win your league? Then listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. And don't be scared to tap that app. Find the Armchair Quarterbacks app today.
Fantasy football time.
Do you want to lose 18 pounds fast and improve your health? Now you can lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months with Nutrisystem. Get delicious breakfasts, lunches, dinners, even snacks and shakes delivered safely to your door. All delivered for free. It's easy to follow, and you'll see results in your first week. Just text BURN to 323232. You'll get your favorite foods made healthier and perfectly balanced to put your body in fat burning mode. Text BURN to 323232 right now and get 50% off a month of meals and shakes. That's right, 50% off a month of meals and 50% off a month of shakes with probiotics to help support your immune system. Just text BURN to 323232 right now. There's even a money-back guarantee. Millions of people have lost weight with Nutrisystem, and you can too. Lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months. Just text BURN to 323232. That's BURN to 323232.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
What's happening in sports? Find out when it happens. Get the CBS Sports app free in the Android Market and iTunes App Store.
Are you a gun enthusiast? Love to shop for guns, but are also looking for friendly service? Well, you're in luck. Here in St. Augustine, Top Gun Supply is the friendly gun shop. Staff is very knowledgeable, happy to see you when you walk through the door, and can assist you with all your gun shopping needs. Top Gun Supply stocks a wide range of firearms, such as Ruger, Beretta, 6 Hour, HK, and LWRC. So stop on by at Top Gun Supply at 525 State Road 16 in St. Augustine. Top Gun Supply here in St. Augustine, the friendly gun shop, a proud sponsor of the Armchair Quarterbacks.
This helpful instructional message from the National Association of People Who Have Trouble Walking and Chewing Gum at the same time. Step, chew. Step, chew. Step, chew. Step, chew.
SEC!
Now with Prime.
You done messed up, AA Ron. Now take your ass on down to Oshag Hennessy's office right now and tell him exactly what you did. Oshag Hennessy!
Principal O'Shaughnessy?
Get out of my damn classroom before I break my foot off in your ass. Insubordinate and churlish. Timothy.
Present.
Thank you.
Churlish. That character always reminds me of my woodshop teacher in, oh my God, what grade was that? It had to have been 5th grade. I did not belong in a woodshop class, by the way. You talk about a fish out of water. Sean, the guy, used to have this fiberglass paddle with big holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think now, the hell would it look like today if this guy did that today? He'd be all.
No, he'd be in jail by lunchtime. He'd be trending on Twitter.
Here's the game he played, and it was a serious game because he was a big, heavy set. I'm guessing because it's hard to remember because you know you're much smaller in the 5th grade. But I'm guessing he was probably close to 350, 375, and maybe 5'10". He was a round mound to rebound, is what he was. And he played the game, and he would have the fiberglass paddle, and it all came down to if someone started acting up, that person had to sit on the paddle. Okay.
Oh Lord.
And
warm it up.
Right. Warm it up. Exactly what they were doing. And the next person that acted up, they would have to sit on the paddle. But before that happened, the person who was sitting on the paddle got whacked. Now, he didn't always start the day off with someone on the paddle, but sometimes he did carry it over. Dude, you'd have to go home and think about that. Dude, I am sitting on the paddle, man. We're starting the class next. You know, I remember sitting on that paddle on a freaking Friday and having to think about that the entire weekend. Then I'm going to be freaking the guy sitting on the paddle on Monday. And when he would lay into that, he always aimed for the back of your leg.
Oh Lord.
And I think about that now and I'm like, okay, there's all about discipline, but that was a little over the line. I don't believe I ever told my parents or grandparents about it because I was just, you just dealt with it as, it was just our generation. You just had to toughen up and, afterwards you'd be walking around sore as hell and everyone be laughing after class and stuff. But I'll tell you what, he was not a teacher that after it was all over, you came back and said, I learned something from you.
Like, learned nothing from you.
You're a piece of crap, you fat Albert looking bastard.
Right.
Man, by the way, it is weigh-in day, first Wednesday of the month. Where are you at this morning, sir?
272.5. So only lost 5 pounds, which
pretty
is
good. That's pretty good. You can't expect you can't expect to move the mountain.
Yeah, I'll be 44 in 2 months. You can't expect, overnight tremendous weight loss. Especially, I've been doing a good job of eating better. I've been taking my son to the gym with me. My son's training for, spring football and summer training camps at his new high school. So he's at a different stage of life than I am. I'm pretty much I will say one nice thing I found is Apple has a fitness app. I bought a new iPhone a couple months ago. And so I got 6 months of their Fitness Plus app, which they'll be happy to let you pay for if you want to sign up for it. It's actually pretty neat. It's a lot of the basic Peloton Nordic track type stuff where you have, instructors who are very clearly in California and probably under the influence of something, being very happy, talking you through, pain. But it's pretty neat. I've enjoyed it. So anybody who's in the market for that kind of a product, if that interests you, I would say theirs is pretty good.
The less that the Apple company has of my information, the better.
Yeah.
True. I just over 9 pounds. I was trying like hell to get to 10.
Oh, nice.
Getting the jab did not help because I didn't exercise yesterday because I kept waiting for the formidable doom that everyone keeps telling me that you're going to feel tired, I didn't. I never got that. Now, last night I had a hard time sleeping. I still don't know if that's got anything to do with the vaccine. But anyways, I really wanted to lose 10, but it's also easier for me to lose than you to lose because I weigh more than you. So the first 10 are the easiest. I've been down this road before. It's getting past that next barrier and then keeping it off. So I've been eating a little better. I wouldn't say that I've gone nuts. The main thing that I've been doing is I've been exercising pretty regularly. My plan was to walk on the treadmill today before the show started, but that did not happen because I slept like crap last night. So I'm planning on doing that today, but I pretty much added that to my about 5 to 6 days a week. I'm on the treadmill in some shape or form. I either do a very light jog. You're not going to see me Carl Lewising. Okay. I'm not one of these guys who's just, and you see him on the treadmill and say, dude, one freaking shoelace comes undone and you're gonna break your neck. Like there's no way around
it. There's a lady at the gym me and my son go to who's always on the elliptical, and she's pumping those things like she's trying to rip them out of the screws. I'm like, one of these days it's gonna be
Zoom.
One of these days it's gonna be what over antlers. You're gonna be forward about 8 feet. It's not gonna be good.
Yeah, I do a light jog and I still worry about that. It goes through my mind constantly. I'm like, what if I eat it right now? Will I live? Like that's always my biggest question: is will I live if I just eat crap right here on this treadmill? Just wham! I always think like, how would I react? How would I prevent myself from smashing my ankle into oblivion? So I was like, so that's why I go ridiculously slow on that. But okay, so let's move on. Before we get into the NFC draft grades, this thing about LeBron is making me laugh more and more. He is the big clown, by the way. I mean, not only is his politics clownish, now does he not realize how transparently bozo-ish this looks when you didn't complain one bit about the play-in games last year because your team was not involved. And now this year, you're saying this is a bunch of horse crap. I should
listen. This is why, and I put this on social media. You may or may not have seen it. This is why nobody from our generation, really anybody less than 20 years old, will ever say that he's better than Michael Jordan, because Jordan never in 100 million years would have done this crap. And this dude's a diva. And I might respect his talent as a basketball player, but I am, as the years go on, becoming less and less and less fond of him as a human being. Terrible. And it's because he keeps opening his mouth and shoving his foot in it. Shut up. Earn it. You're hurt, legitimately hurt, high ankle sprain. Everybody saw that dude fall on his ankle. You're legitimately hurt for the first time in your career. Get out of here with the excuses. This is great for the league, by the way. The play-in is great for the league.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Quit bragging about your three and a quarter championships. I'm never going to give you credit for that fourth one. That bubble boy. I'm not believing any of that. It's going to piss off a lot of people if he gets to 6 technically, and then he'll be up there talking about he's as good as Jordan, et cetera, and he's going to try to claim that championship in 2020 was more because they're like, oh, it's more difficult. You didn't have any road games. How the hell is that more difficult? You had no crowd.
We were away from our families. We were away from our families in a controlled environment with designer food and high-speed internet.
well
It was terrible.
You might as well have been in the NAIU tournament because no one was in the stands. You might as well, you know what? It's the equivalent of winning a WNBA championship. Nobody watched it.
Oh, here we go.
No one was in the stands. I give
Careful.
you much credit for that.
Careful.
Whoever the hell, dude, you can be scared of them. I am not scared of the WNBA.
Oh, I'm not scared. I'm love it when you get here. Let's go.
They don't care, man. They don't care. I don't care. You know, oh God. I just wish LeBron would just go transgender and join the WNBA and be done.
Oh, Lord,
and everyone can rate how unfair it is, and then they'll have to back up the bill that when we first made this bill, we didn't know someone as good as LeBron James would want to change. I mean, what's stopping LeBron right after he's like absolutely done with the NBA to pretend like he's transitioning or identifying? And
you mean pulling a Jenner?
Playing the WNBA when he's 40. When he's in the WNBA and he's 40, he's still going to average like 3,500 points a game. Can you imagine that defensive game plan? All right.
Oh boy.
The four of you, I want you to to guard. I don't know what he would go by. I'll try to think of a female name that would be like LeBron, but I want you four to guard LeJane, and you just try to get the rebound. And okay, right. What about the other? They're not going to hit a shot. If you ever watch this sport, they're not going to hit a shot. Just worry about LeJane. Okay.
LeJane versus Brittany Griner would be interesting. They wear the same size shoes. So
until the first time Griner tried to take a charge and she got knocked into the rafters. The first time she takes a charge, she's gonna think that Tom Wilson got a hold of her. All right, NFC North. Let's start with the Packers before we get into their draft real quick. I've got some options for Aaron Rodgers to go to. Now, he says he's not going to play for the Packers, refuses. People say a lot of things, and then if you do certain things, you can change their opinion. If the Packers really want to keep Aaron Rodgers, I think there's two things that has to happen, Sean. Number one, with the bullet, they've got to trade Jordan Love.
Oh yeah, that's a given.
He can't be a presence.
Nope.
Because he took it as an insult that not only did they trade up to get this guy and waste a first round pick on him, but to top it off, he did not know it was coming. So he felt blindsided and lied to. So you got to get rid of him, and then you got to sign him to an extension. Those are the only two things I think because it saves face and it makes him happy on the financial side, right? I think everything else he can figure it out. Now, are you willing to do that? Does LaFleur look at as Love saying, dude, this guy can really be something by next year? Maybe we have to trade him. To trade Rodgers because I got to think about my long-term future. Okay, let's say they're going to trade him. I've got a list in order of teams that I think make the most sense and to be the most attractive to Aaron Rodgers.
I got one. I'll be curious to see if they're on your list.
Number one with the bullet is the Raiders.
Okay.
To be able to go play in Las Vegas, to be able to be in the limelight. He likes it out there on the West Coast. He's trying to do more things on the West Coast with television and whatnot. I think
fans this year. Yeah.
I think it's a perfect fit. Number two would be to go play for John Elway and the Denver Broncos. They've got a team that around them has a lot of talent. They don't have a quarterback. Number three on the list that I think makes the most sense. Tua Tagovailoa goes to the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers heads to Miami. And you know they've got some weapons now. Okay?
Lots of them.
And then we can finally get Steven on board with once he's no longer wearing a Dolphins jersey, you're going to the day after Steven's going to go, man, that guy was trash. I'm so glad we got rid of him. Until then. And then number four, to me, that makes the most sense. But what would they trade away is the question, is the Washington football team.
Okay.
My question is, how many draft picks would you have to sell to get him, because of the simple fact that, you know, they don't even have a Dwayne Haskins
Right.
to be able to dangle out there as a carrot. Maybe, I don't even know if there's a quarterback that would be involved in that trade. Number 5, the New York Football Giants. Daniel Jones goes to Green Bay along with draft picks, and Aaron Rodgers goes to the Big Apple, which I think he would like. Number 6 is the Tennessee Football Titans. Because if you sent Tannehill up there, who still has 2 years left on his deal, he is not the prima donna that Aaron Rodgers is, and he would accept the fact that in 2 years, if I'm still going to play football, it's most likely not going to be in Green Bay because it's the Jordan Love show.
Right.
And it gives LaFleur a decent quarterback. I know he's not Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers isn't Aaron Rodgers, because the longer this goes on, Aaron Rodgers is going to be, what, 36, 37 years old this year?
Yep.
Eventually, if you're not eating avocado ice cream, it's going to catch up on you. And I'm just going to say this. Aaron Rodgers looks about 10 years older than Tom Brady.
Yep. TB12, baby. Plyometrics.
And then my last one that I don't think was realistic, but how fun would it be? Aaron Rodgers goes to Cleveland for Baker Mayfield. And all these, of course, you would have multiple first-round draft picks. What say you on those fits?
So I'll say 2 things really quick. The two that I think are the most likely are Vegas and Denver. My favorite one is the New York Football Giants, because they've actually got some offensive weapons. They've drafted a little bit on the offensive and defensive lines the last couple of years. I just don't know if they can afford him or if they have enough draft capital to actually get him away from the Packers. It seems like if he goes anywhere, it would be Vegas or Denver. Let me say this. Everything I've read, everything I've heard from people who are claimed to be in the know about that organization is that Brian Gutekunst, the general manager, and Mark Murphy, the director of football operations, are 100% going to stand in the mud and call this dude's bluff and be like, "You ain't going anywhere, Jack." So I don't think he's going anywhere. I think
but
they're
do
going
you want a pissed off quarterback of that ilk? For you in the, what was he got 1 year left on his deal, right? Maybe
let me say that.
Go ahead.
This would be far from the first front office in our lifetimes to stand in front of a player who's upset and say, "Well, then retire. We call your bluff." So, this franchise did it to Brett Favre. They were like, "Then retire. We call your bluff. Like, retire to this in the off season, you making it all about you crap every year and saying you're not sure if you're going to come back or not. We call your bluff." They've done this before. They called Brett Favre's bluff, and he retired and came back twice for 2 different franchises, right? So I think they're going to stick their feet in the ground and say, "Look, we kept your running back when nobody's
season." Brett Favre never actually missed a season. All that stuff.
No, I understand that. I'm
played
just saying.
during the off season, but he never actually for this to actually work. He would have to miss the entire season. And I don't know.
I don't think he's going to miss the entire season either. I just think that franchise has a history of calling people's bluff and saying, "Nope, we're the ones holding the doors and the keys. We kept your running back that you like so much when nobody is re-signing running backs at big money. We paid your left tackle. We drafted another offensive lineman and another wide receiver in this draft. Get over the quarterback thing. Like, we're trying to win the Super Bowl now with you as our quarterback, and you're under contract." And they'll probably say, "Hey, here's a 4-year, $48 million contract, with, whatever, 4-year, $66 million contract with 48 guaranteed. You're now the highest paid quarterback in the league," whatever they need to do. I think they're going to call this bluff. I don't think he's going anywhere. Personally, that's my feeling.
On the Packers, I'm going to give them a C+. I was not thrilled with their draft. Once again, they don't use a first round pick to get the best offensive player available, which I think is what they need. You want to repair that, you go out and you get Aaron Rodgers a new toy to play with, right?
Right.
They got the center from Ohio State, Myers, but Amari Rodgers, Clemson in the second round. okay, maybe, but
Possession receiver.
Amari Rogers is a bit of a reach, I think, in the second round. And then they pretty much kind of a bland draft after that. You know, there's things to like in some of the players, but I got it as a C+. What say you?
Yeah, I've got them the lowest of all the teams in the division. Their first pick, Eric Stokes. Stokes is fine, but he's also kind of a bigger, unathletic cornerback. So best case scenario is he's going to be a reliable slot corner for you. I just don't know that you need to take that in the first round when you can get that later on. And yeah, the Rodgers pick caught a lot of eyes because they finally took a skill position player. But Rodgers, his ceiling seems to be, a reliable, Marquez Valdez Scanlon type of guy, and they've already got two of those. So they've already got two of those in MVS and Lazard. So I'm not sure why you go there. Wasn't impressed. C+.
All right, moving on because we're going to run out of time here. Detroit, I've got them as a solid A. I loved what they did with their draft. What say you?
Yeah, 40 years of being a Lions fan doesn't allow me to give them an A, but I'm going to give them a B+. I love the way they went at it. Getting Sewell, Onwuzurike, and McNeil with your first three picks is a big deal. I'm curious to see what we'll get out of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Derek Barnes, who are guys I know. But it's a good start.
I'm a big St. Brown fan, so maybe that's why I've got got that up so high. And to be honest with you, the cat out of Syracuse, he did a phenomenal job every time I watched Syracuse football. Wasn't a lot, but I probably watched about 4 or 5 Syracuse games over the last couple of years, and I was always impressed by him. And I actually thought that he was more of a second round, so I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, I caught the Fighting Babers a few times last year. They won me some money on a few Saturday mornings with some upsets, so I knew his name. And he stood out as a big physical guy. It's a great start for Campbell and Holmes. Obviously, they're going to need, I think, a little more time to get all the pieces in place, but this is a great place to jump off.
This might be the only one I give the entire offseason. I'm giving Minnesota Vikings an F. First of all, you don't even have a first or second round draft pick. Okay. Your very first pick, it's Kellen Mond out of Texas A&M.
Whew. Tough.
It's like the worst quarterback available.
Correction, they did have a first round pick. They took Christian Darrisaw. They traded down from 14 to 23.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, they did take Darrisaw. I was halfway scrolling, but I'm still giving them. I think Darrisaw was a bit of a reach at that point too. Anyways, Mond is a reach. Davis Mills goes after him. Davis Mills on everybody's board was much higher than Kellen Mond. Anyway, I've got no love for this particular draft. They're fortunate that they've got a pretty good nucleus because I felt like the draft was terrible.
Yeah, I gave them a low grade. I'm just going to give them a D. I just want to highlight a couple things really quick. That I'm not going to go back to the Mond pick. Darrisaw is a really good offensive tackle.
Janarius Robinson out of Florida State, by the way, is going to be a bust.
Janarius Robinson was one I was going to highlight. He's a guy that low motor, didn't produce. I'm a little bit interested in Kene Nwangwu from Iowa State, a guy that had to sit behind Breece Hall, and before that sat behind David Montgomery. So I'll be curious to see if he's any good. Like, those are two pretty good guys to get beat out by. The one that really had me scratching my head was Chaz Surratt, the linebacker out of North Carolina. He's a converted quarterback. I watched a few North Carolina games, and this dude just looks like he looks like Concussion City. I just don't get their draft. I don't get it at all.
Now the Bears, I give that a solid B+. They trade up to get Justin Fields, which is their biggest need in Chicago since
ever.
I mean, not since the days of Jim McMahon have they had a quarterback that they feel like can take the field and won't lose the game for you.
Right.
Then Tevin Jenkins, I thought that was a steal. That is the pick that I thought the Jaguars were going to start off in the second round. And that was I could not believe they let him go. There was another offensive tackle that I can't remember who it was that went a little before him. I was like, why are they not drafting Jenkins? Is something wrong with them? About that time, the Bears goes rip. I was like, okay, so obviously there's not something wrong with them. Those two picks alone and I'll tell you what, I watched some BYU football this year because they intrigued me. I was always bragging about them. Tunga as a 7th round pick, I like that pick. He is relentless. He may not have all the attributes that some of the other players had, which obviously is why he's a 7th rounder. But I like Tunga's chances to not only make the Bears, but also be a key contributor. So I've got them as a solid B+. What say you?
Yeah, I've got them as a B+ too. I want to highlight their day 3 picks really quick because day 3 is all about projects. Do guys have transferable skills, and can you make those skills better and maybe hide some of their weaknesses? All 3 of their 6th-round picks are guys I liked for where they were taken. Thomas Graham is an average athletic cornerback, but he has really good ball skills and sorts information really quickly. Daz Newsome is doesn't have Sam Howell throwing to him, but Justin Fields is pretty darn good as a replacement for Sam Howell. He's a guy with some breakneck speed and some size who has struggled with drops and a little bit of injuries. And then Khalil Herbert, the running back out of Virginia Tech, is a good day 3 pick too, even if you already have Montgomery. So yeah, they're a B for me, definitely.
Okay, real quick, we'll get better at this as time goes on. It's hard to squeeze in everything we want to talk about in 1 hour, but we'll figure it out. What do you like in DFS today?
The number one thing I like in DFS today is start all your Red Sox because the Tigers are trotting out one of their young pitchers again, Tariq Skubal, and he has lived in the zone. So if you've got JD Martinez, Christian Vasquez, Alex Verdugo, Xander Bogaerts, Vasquez is probably going to be cheap in DFS. He's a play against the Tigers. Tigers have allowed the most hard hit contact in the majors all year, and that's not going to change today.
I like John Means going up against Seattle today.
It's a good one.
And then I'm on the fence with this one, but Webb has been up and down. Gray has been up and down. This game, I believe, is an early start today. Should be warm air. Try to find some San Francisco Giants that you think they could rake. Because
Mauricio Dubon, very underrated.
Yeah, it is in Colorado, and I believe they're supposed to have decent weather, or at least they were supposed to when I looked at it last night. So that would be my start. Look, John Means is only 8,400, and he's playing against Seattle, who's decent. They're playing okay baseball, but they're not putting a lot of runs. So, and John Means is really, really underrated. We could have easily put him in the under the radar category. God, if he gets on the trade block, can you imagine people lining up for that one? All right, let's go ahead and hit turn back time and our walk-offs. Here we go on the first 1 hour show in Armchair Quarterbacks in a long, long time. I can't believe I used to do this for 3 hours a day. And somehow I always feel like I never have enough time. Okay. Birthdays. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Turn back time. On this date in 1969, 52 years ago, the Milwaukee Bucks signed number 1 NBA draft pick Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor from UCLA. One of the more, I know he's got all the records and whatnot, but the kiddos, they don't understand how great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was.
Once in a lifetime.
Oh, and I miss that skyhook, bro. As much as I hated the Lakers, I think about it now and I'm like, why as dominant as he was, Sean, why nobody ever.
He's a one of one.
Nobody ever replicated it. Well, they never.
Because nobody could. Nobody could.
I think people could have. I just don't think that once Shaq came into the league, it ruined the center position, and then it absolutely was trashed by. But now your centers are staying behind the 3-point line. You're never going to see a guy
shooting threes
again in today's basketball. Also, on this date, 1904, little fun fact. This is the 117th anniversary of the first perfect game thrown in American League history, in modern history. Cy Young throws a perfect game, beating one of my favorite players that I've talked about for several years on this show, Rube Waddell and the Philadelphia A's. Rube Waddell, if you ever get a chance to read him, he's one of the most fascinating people in the history of sports. I think one of my favorite tidbits about him is when sports writers asked him how many times he'd been married. He says, "I'm really not sure." Evidently, he was a booze hound and city to city. He'd get married to anyone in any state if he was drunk enough. All right, birthdays, real quick. A couple of this is a basketball day. LaFonso Ellis, remember him?
Yes, I do.
From East St. Louis. Watch your back over there. 51 years old today. That doesn't make you feel old. Harold Miner, remember him? Baby Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, he's from Inglewood, California. He played for Southern Cal. He came out of college. Baby Jordan's going to be the next. He's a bust. 50 years old today. Say it ain't so. What is your walk-off of the day, sir?
In the year 2000, the Pistons traded LaFonso Ellis to the Denver Nuggets for the expiring contract of Otis Thorpe and a 2003 first-round pick that ended up being the second overall pick, which the Pistons used on Darko Milicic. So every time you hear that name, I get this chill right up my spine. My walk-off for today is Do the Right Thing, Tampa Bay Rays. Last night, most minor league baseball season started. And Wander Franco, 3 for 5 with a triple, 2 runs batted in. Get him up, man. Get Willie Adames out of there. I'm tired of watching him.
My walk-off is, because we didn't get a chance to go over what's happening today, Amir Garrett suspended 7 games for his actions. I'm sure he'll appeal it, blah, blah, blah. But that is the big news of the morning. And Ohio State wide receiver Jameson Williams is going to Alabama. So that'll be the answer to who's the first wide receiver taken in next year's draft. The Texas Longhorns top tackler from last year, linebacker Jawan Mitchell, he's headed to the other UT. He's going to become a volunteer. And we didn't get a chance to get into this, but this is my walk-off. Pete Alonso said that he cried after learning if Tom Slater and Chili Davis were fired. Now I know that these baseball players get, especially their pitching coach and the batting coaches, they get very attached to them, and it's not just from a sense of professionalism, but they become their buddies. I get that. But man, don't tell people you cried. Alonso was a Florida Gator. So when he said,
that explains it.
The first thing I thought of was Tim Tebow crying. And then even before that, freaking Emmitt Smith crying after Florida State kicked his ass in Gainesville. Dude, I'm not saying men don't cry, but they don't cry in public. Not unless they won a championship.
It's amazing. Be a man.
There is a 12:35 game today, y'all, by the way. White Sox, Reds, and then you get 2 3:00 Eastern games. Baltimore, Seattle, and San Francisco, Colorado. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Great job, Sean. And as soon as we get the details of when we're going to start the fantasy analytical baseball show, trust me, we'll come up with a better name than that. We will let all y'all know. See ya.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another cigarette.